Stadium saw spot starter Bob Forsch on the mound for the Cardinals, inserted into the rotation so that Game 2 loser Danny Cox could get his normal rest in anticipation of a possible sixth game. And Forsch surrendered a run in the top half of the first inning. With Royal runners on second and third and only one out, Frank White's bouncer to shortstop scored Lonnie Smith from third base with the run that made it 1-0 Kansas City. But the Cardinals would strike back in the bottom of the first inning. Against Danny Jackson, with two men down, Tommy Hurt doubled to right field to put a runner in scoring position. Next at the plate, cleanup hitter Jack Clark. And Clark took Jackson's first pitch off the wall in right center field. Kerr scored from second base. Clark's double brought the St. Louis crowd to life, and the Cardinals had tied it at 1-1 after one inning. But the Royals would come back in the top half of the second inning. Forsch pitching to Jim Sundberg. Sundberg lofted an easy fly ball to left field, but Landrum got a late looping start and allowed the ball to go by him, moving Sundberg to second base. It was the first bad moment of the series for the up-to-now flawless Tito Landrum. The replay demonstrated Landrum's two mistakes: a late jump on the ball and then failure to play the ball in front of him. So Sundberg was in scoring position as the light-hitting Buddy Biancalana stepped into the box. And Biancalana leaked a single through the right side, scoring Sundberg to put Kansas City on top 2-1. Sundberg's head-first slide eluded the tag by catcher Tom Nieto. Nieto couldn't believe the call by American League umpire John Shulak, and Whitey Herzog was out of the dugout immediately in what began a running battle between the Cardinals and American League umpires. Another look shows that the perfect slide by Sundberg, in fact, eluded Nieto's tag. Two hitters later, after a walk to Lonnie Smith, Willie Wilson laced the ball to right center field. Wilson's speed would turn it into a triple. Two runners scored, and now the Royals were in early command with a 4-1 lead in the second inning. The Cardinals had a chance to strike back in the bottom of the third. Bases loaded, two down, and Tito Landrum with a chance to make up for his misplay of Sundberg's fly ball. But Danny Jackson was tough. He jammed Landrum, and the foul pop to Brett ended the inning and the Cardinal threat. There would be two interesting sidebar stories in the middle innings. Flamethrowing relief pitcher Todd Worrell entered for St. Louis in the sixth and struck out the side. He registered a fourth straight strikeout to begin the seventh, then got George Brett on a rare curveball, Brett allowing the bat to slip from his hands to make it 5 straight strikeouts for Worrell. Next up, Frank White. And when a fastball on the outside corner nailed White, Worrell had 6 consecutive Ks to tie a World Series record held by two other pitchers. The second interesting sidebar came in the bottom of the seventh. Terry Pendleton's foul pop into the Kansas City dugout produced a brilliant effort by third baseman George Brett. And there was a moment of consternation as Brett slid into the Royals dugout on his fanny. A replay from another angle shows that perhaps the series' most significant fielding play was made by Kansas City coach Lee May, who reached forward and grabbed the Royals star as he entered the dugout, possibly preventing a serious injury. It was still 4-1 Kansas City as they entered the top of the eighth. Danny Jackson at the plate, with the Royals mounting a scoring threat. Jackson's bouncer was fielded brilliantly behind second base by Ozzie Smith, but the throw to first was wild. And Sundberg scored to make it 5-1 Kansas City. In the bottom half of the 8th inning, Ozzie Smith tried to make up for the bad throw. A long fly ball, a rare display of power, a brilliant over-the-shoulder catch by Willie Wilson. Another look as one of baseball's lightest hitters drove the horsehide about as far as he could ever be expected to. But one of the game's fastest center fielders turned it into just another long out. In the end, Jackson remained in command. The Royals cruised to a 6-1 victory and narrowed St. Louis' margin in the series to 3-2. Game 6, back in Kansas City. Royals fans hopeful, remembering their team had come from near extinction to knock off Toronto in the American League Championship Series. Starting for the Royals, Charlie Leibrandt, who had gotten 26, not 27 outs in Game 2. His opponent, the by-now well-rested Danny Cox. And because of the brilliant efforts of both pitchers, the game was scoreless through the first 7 innings. The action started for St. Louis in the top of the 8th. 1 out. The batter, third baseman Terry Pendleton. And Pendleton drove a Leibrandt pitch through the right side with a single that gave the Cardinals a base run. Moments later, Cesar Cedeno drew a walk from Leibrandt. Now there were runners at first and second. But Darrell Porter struck out, so there were 2 down as Brian Harper came on to pinch hit for Cox. Another moment of truth for Leibrandt, who ran the ball in on Harper. But the blooper went over shortstop into center field for the single that drove in Pendleton and broke up a scoreless game. 1-0 St. Louis. Still runners at first and second, and when Ozzie Smith walked, this time Dick Hauser wasted no time in lifting Leibrandt. As Dan Quisenberry came on to face Willie McGee, the Cardinals were 1 hit away from a commanding lead and the beginnings of World Championship anticipation. But this was a situation that Quisenberry had known from all of his past baseball experiences. McGee's hopper was fielded by White behind second base. The force ended the threat and sent St. Louis ahead, nursing a slim 1-0 lead. So it stood 15 minutes later as the Royals began to bat in the bottom of the 9th inning. George Orta pinch hitting against Todd Worrell. A hopper down the first base side. Jack Clark coming off the bag to field it. The throw to Worrell at first base. American League umpire Don Dinkinger said, safe. The Cardinals began to mount the protest. Herzog exited the dugout again to dispute an American League umpire's call. The replays clearly showed that Clark's throw to Worrell had beaten Orta to the bag. It was a moment which later would haunt St. Louis fans through the entire offseason and perhaps for years to come. A disgusted Herzog went back to the dugout. No out. Runner at first base. Balboni lifted a foul pop to the right side, and Clark, in his first full year at first base, couldn't find the ball. Given new life, Balboni now drilled a single through the left side, and the Royals had the beginnings of a rally with runners at first and second and nobody out. Now Dick Hauser was thinking sacrifice. Good bat handler Jim Sundberg at the plate, but Worrell made a fine play, throwing to Pendleton to get the lead runner and leaving the Royals still with runners at first and second and 1 out now. However, Porter lost the next pitch, and the bases were loaded when Herzog elected to intentionally walk Cal McRae. That brought up journeyman hitter Dane Ord, and Ord slapped a line drive to right field. 1 runner scored. Sundberg scored. And Kansas City had come up with a miracle rally to win the 6th game 2-1. The replay of Ord's base hit shows a good throw from Van Slyke in right field. The key to Sundberg's ability to score was that Darrell Porter did not block the plate. Watch Porter go out in front of the plate to take the throw and try to reach back for the tag. And in a replay of his successful head-first slide of earlier in the series, Sundberg again found the plate and gave the Royals a 2-1 victory. Later, Dane Orge reflected on the most memorable moment of an up-to-then unmemorable baseball lifetime.
I'll tell you exactly what went through my mind. How many kids get an opportunity to hit in that situation? I've dreamed about that all my life, and to be up there and to actually go through it was a thrill.
The decisive game of the 1985 World Series was played on October 27 in Royal Stadium. On the mound for Kansas City, 21-year-old Brett Saberhagen, winner of Game 3, and by now, the proud father of a one-day-old baby boy. His opponent for St. Louis, John Tudor, winner of Games 1 and 4, one earned run allowed in 15 2/3 World Series innings pitched. After a scoreless first, the Royals got things started in the bottom of the second. With Balboni on with a walk, Darrell Motley drove a 3-2 pitch just inside the foul pole and left field and brought the Royals fans to their seats as Kansas City took an early 2-0 lead. It was all downhill from here for Tudor and the Cardinals. In the bottom of the third inning, the obviously off-form Tudor loaded the bases and delivered a ball out of the strike zone to Jim Sundberg to walk in a run and stretch the Kansas City lead to 3-0. Whitey Herzog immediately brought Bill Campbell in from the bullpen. Campbell faced Balboni with the bases still loaded. And the big man, whose bat had come alive late in the series, drove another single through the left side, driving in Brett and White and stretching the Royals' lead to 5-0. Campbell carried the ball for St. Louis into the bottom of the fifth. But when two Royals reached base in that inning, he gave it to Jeff Lottie to pitch to Darrell Motley. And Motley, already having a big night, delivered another single, driving in another run and making it 6-0 Kansas City. Two hitters later, Lonnie Smith stepped up and cleared the bases with a double just inside the left field line, stretching the Royal lead to 8-0. By now, each development added insult to injury for the beleaguered Cardinals. Willie Wilson, next hitter. An infield hopper. Normally an out, but with his speed, Wilson beat it out. Another run scored. It was 9-0 Kansas City. And after a George Brett single off of Ricky Horton, the forgotten man of the St. Louis starting rotation, 21-game winner Joaquin Andujar, came on to pitch to Frank White with a 2-0 count and runners at first and third. White hit Andujar's first pitch into left field for an RBI single that stretched it to 10-0 Royals. With a 2-2 count to Jim Sundberg, Andujar delivered a fastball that he thought was a strike. Umpire Don Dinkinger, the key figure in the previous evening's 9th inning, saw it as being inside, and Andujar came on to offer his case. When Dinkinger stepped forward to defend the call, Whitey Herzog exited from the dugout. And moments later, Herzog would have an early trip to the shower. The very next pitch was ball 4, another call that Andujar didn't like. And by now the Cardinals were coming unglued. The red-hot Dominican charged Dinkinger and bumped him in the chest. An automatic ejection for the pitcher. Andujar followed Herzog to the shower, and Bob Forsch came onto the mound for St. Louis. Orsh's first pitch went past the catcher and all the way to the backstop. Another Royal run scoring to make it 11-0 Kansas City. From there, the Cardinals exited quietly before Saberhagen. Andy Van Slyke, the last to face the Royals ace in the ninth, lofted a fly ball to the warning track in right field. And when Darryl Motley grabbed it, 3 stories were complete. The Cardinals, baseball's best team through much of the summer, had come completely unglued. Dane Orsh had walked in the footsteps of such previous obscure World Series heroes as Dusty Rhodes and Rocky Nelson. And the Royals became the first team ever to lose the first 2 games at home and win the World Series.